Purchasing air filters directly from the manufacturer definitely has its perks. Factory Direct Air Filters doesn't just sell filters, but they manufacture the Aerostar air filter brand. So basically, you're cutting out the middleman. If you manage multiple properties or commercial service contracts, they do have bulk discounts, but they also offer wholesale pricing as well. They've got consistent inventory and standard sizes ship within 2 days. They also do unique sizes to spec, and that's within about 5 days. They have free shipping across the US. So if you guys want to get your filters faster and cheaper and built to spec, factorydirectfilters.com is the place to go. All right, guys, welcome back. So in the first episode, we were talking about airflow versus static and some of the tools that we can use to check them and how to check them in the right way and all that kind of stuff. So the conversation continues with Eric Ruggles from Yellow Jacket. So let's get back to it, guys. This is the HVAC Know It All podcast, and I'm your host, Gary McCready. This podcast is sponsored by Cool Air Products, Cintas, and SupplyHouse.com. Go to the show notes and click on the links to check these guys out. Okay, I'm going to ask you about the Mano tool in a second, but outside of checking total external static pressure, checking across devices is important too, because if we've got high static when we do our initial test, I mean, maybe our A coil is plugged. And one of the ways we can do that without actually taking it apart and looking up at it physically is if we know this is why commissioning is important. This is why having the number on day one is really important. So let's say on day one, our A coil has 0.2 inches across it, just for example. And then we come back 6 years later and our total external static pressure is now high. Why is it high? We go across our evaporator. So one static pressure tip below the evaporator and one above the evaporator, or if it's in line, I mean, one before, one after. And now it's 0.4. Well, there's something wrong there. We're plugged up. So it's good to know how to check across devices. Then that way we can eliminate those devices or find them as our actual problem. So going across devices is just as important as checking the static of the entire system too, right?
Yeah, and I think, like you said, commissioning is super important. So you get the total static of the system. You get your filter drop based on the filter you installed initially. You get the coil drop. You understand how the ductwork was initially installed, so that gives you the full numbers. But yeah, when you're troubleshooting, if static is off, every component matters in the system, right? So the filter, the A coil, anything else. If you have louvers or other things in the system, they need to make sure that you're measuring across those. Humidifiers, downstream filters, there's all sorts of things that could be causing restrictions in line of the air that are building up static pressure.
Yep, for sure. Cool. So tell me about the Mano a little bit, because just hold it up again.
Yeah.
So when you grab that, it comes with the static pressure tips, the tube, like it's a kit, right?
Yeah, it comes in a little baggie. It gets two tubes, two tips. You can cut them to length or whatever you need to. They're magnetic, so they'll stick in the ductwork and hold in the ductwork in place, so you can just connect the tube to your device. This also has a magnet on the back, so you can stick that to the side of the ductwork as well. And then it'll read your pressure differential, both pressures in the app. You can save those as your total static or your filter or your A coil or whatever. You can also use it to measure gas pressure or any other static pressure measurement you need to, and then save them in the app and create a report for the customer if needed.
So we don't need checking gas pressure. We're going to throw away the static pressure tips, and we obviously we need the correct fitting to tie into the gas line, and then that's going to have a little barbed fitting on it, and then we check our gas pressure without the static pressure tips.
Yep. Yeah. So you only need to use one side because you're just referencing atmosphere on the other one. But yep. So it can be used as a single or a dual port, either way.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. So maybe let's get into the refrigeration side a little bit, because you do have some probes that can handle that as well. And from what I understand, your set of probes now link up with MeasureQuick. Is that correct?
Yep, our probes do, as well as our Titan Max, our digital manifold. They all link to MeasureQuick, as well as our own app. So it's not just MeasureQuick, but if you have MeasureQuick, obviously, yeah, you can use ours. You can use all the other ones out there through the MeasureQuick app.
Okay, cool. So when it comes to diagnostics of refrigeration systems, and when I say refrigeration, I don't mean just like walk-in boxes. A refrigeration system is found in air conditioning, heat pumps, and all that kind of good stuff. But one of the big things is it seems like, and you don't have to tell me all the secrets in the works in Yellow Jacket, but I've made a bold statement that in a decade from now, it's not going to be death to the manifold, but it's going to be less and less manifold use because more and more younger techs are enjoying the probes. There's less need for a hose when you don't need a hose. Like there's all kinds of arguments to be had about putting a hose on a system. Is that hose empty? When you put it on, are you removing refrigerant from the system? Are you putting on a hose that's filled with refrigerant that was on another system prior to that? Now that refrigerant in your hose could be contaminated with acid, moisture, who knows? So there's a lot of yammering, a lot of buzz around the manifold. But here's the thing, though. There's a lot of techs that still want a manifold. They still want to hold it in their hand. So there's still a market for it. And I use a manifold once in a while as well. And I'm not going to say it's a completely useless tool, but there is more of an uptick towards the probe side of things. So give me your take on that, Eric.
Yeah, I would say I'm not 50 years older, running the industry for 30 years or anything like that. I'm in my late 30s. I think technology is advancing day by day, and we've come a long ways, and things are going to do it for us. But I think, like you mentioned, I think probes are probably the way long term because they're easy and you're not taking refrigerant out of the system. You don't introduce other things. Now, the advantage of a manifold, whether it be digital or not, is that it's kind of an all-in-one tool, right? You can kind of get a sense of the refrigeration system from one device. The problem with that is every time you hook up a hose, you lose maybe 3 ounces of a charge. And then depending on the size of the system, that's going to derate or cause problems long-term with the product. So if you could just measure your pressures and temperatures without removing any charge at all, that's what you really want to do when you're doing diagnostics on a system in the first place. So if we can do that with a couple sensors that could fit in your back pocket or fit in a small tool bag or your backpack versus having to lug around a manifold with hoses, it's probably going to be a lot quicker, at least for diagnostics. Now, commissioning, first off, passes full systems. I don't think charging a system, it's not necessarily a bad thing to use a manifold because you can do it all in one. You can use your valves. It's a little bit easier to determine how much is going in the system and can weigh superheat and subcooling right there without you being able to meter in a little bit more, a little less, whatever you need to at the same time.
Yeah.
But that being said, the probes can do the same thing, right? Ours come with a charging port right on it for the pressure side. So you don't have to
I like that.
If you're gonna add refrigerant, so you can measure it all there, right in one go, if you need to. And then
can you hold that up again, if you don't mind? Because a lot of people say, and just turn it to the side so we can see the teed off thing. So that's an argument from a lot of the older techs, is that hey, you can't charge with probes. You can 100%. I mean, in a lot of cases, you've got to add a fitting, but yours comes with an actual tee, which is very cool because I mean, that brass piece there that's on that bit of a 45, that's going to go on the system. You're going to take the cap off that tee and you're going to hook your hose up to your charging tank, like that's sitting on your scale. And we can add a refrigerant there and we can still monitor what's going on through the app as far as pressures and saturated temperatures and stuff like that. So I really like that feature that you've put on there.
Yeah, agreed. Try to make it as easy as possible. Less fittings, less leak points, etc. Right? So build it right in.
Okay, so as far as clamps, like this is a full series of probes, right?
Yeah, so we have temperature, we have pressure, psychrometrics, we even have an amp clamp for using your electrical side of things. But yeah, so temperature clamp for your pipe clamp, we also can do this in a strap. So you can go 4-inch, 6-inch pipes if you want to, if you're doing big hydronic systems. But otherwise, just the clamp can go anywhere. Again, it's got a magnet on the back of the part if you need to support it anywhere or just clip it on the side or take air temperatures instead of pipe temperatures for other measurements. But useful, simple, easy to use device. And then the air side, which is also important to the system, your psychrometrics, right? So your wet and dry bulb temperatures, both ambient, and then you can do returning supply to get your system performance as well.
Yeah, a lot of the times that if you're doing a proper commissioning setup, you might have one of those outside, you might have one of those inside checking like return air and stuff like that. So it's important to know these things during a proper commissioning because there's startup and there's commissioning. And a lot of people think they're the same thing, but they're not. Startup is like starting the machine up initially. You might be checking the voltage and things like that and starting it up and make sure it's starting up okay and safely. But commissioning is really honing in the optimization of that system and checking all of those things. Like, I mean, I think if you're doing a measure quick startup, it's like 9 probes or something like that. So it goes pretty in depth, and you can hook all these 9 probes up to your system and get like a benchmark sort of, hey, your system is running well, or it needs this, or it needs that, which is kind of cool, to be honest, this day and age, to get a benchmark commissioning report. So
I mean, I can go two ways here, but the YellowJack View app, the WireJack View app, has a similar feature, right? It'll do psychrometric. You can put in what your system ratings are, and it'll tell you the efficiency of the actual system compared to the rating on the unit tag. So it'll tell you the performance. If you add the electrical side, it'll tell you the electrical performance of the system as well, and you can print that in a commissioning report also. But I think just getting back to like diagnostics or commissioning, for instance, but refrigerant side and air side, you can't do one or the other. The system is important to understand both, because you could have a flawless refrigeration side but have poor airflow or air temperature, delta T, or air performance of the system. You could have blocked coil or other impacts that are causing problems in the unit that aren't just strictly refrigerant related, right? It could look like it's low on charge, but really you have a blocked condenser coil or other aspects of it, right?
okay, Eric, so you mentioned real world output of like the BTU rating. So if we want to get that number, if we want to know that a 2-ton system is operating at a 2-ton, or it's degraded to a lesser value because there's something going on in the system, what do we need? What measurements do we need the app to take in, and what other plugins do we need to give the app in order to spit that value out?
Yeah, so we're going to start with our cyclometers in the system for the air side. So supply and return of the unit. And then we're going to go into the app. I got it here on an iPad. But high level, you're going to go to your sessions. Go to your sessions. We're going to go to psychrometrics. And then here you're going to see your supply and return side of the units of your readings from your dews or your psychrometers. And
Yep.
so you have your relative humidity, your dry bulb and wet bulb temperatures, your dew point temperatures, and your enthalpy, right? So in here, you can go to your system settings and you can input a volume of CFM, or you can use your hot wire anemometer to give you actual real world measurement of your CFM. Either one.
So that's what I wanted to hear that, because a lot of people will say, okay, yeah, the system is designed for this, and they'll plug in that number, but it's not the actual, it might not be the actual CFM that it's outputting. So it's best to have the actual reading plugged into the app rather than just a guess.
So you can take your hot wire anemometer, you can do a full duct traverse and in the app as well. And then it actually has the last 3 traverses saved here to take the airflow for the system, and you can just select that, or you can auto or manually type in a CFM number to put in the system, whether from the last measurement or you're taking it off the nameplate, whatever's the right application. And then from there, you also put in the rated capacity of the system. So then that's just an input number. So here I got a 9,000 BTU unit at 300 CFM, and based on my numbers, I'm not working very well. My system efficiency, it looks like the system shut off, but it's calculating my current capacity. So what actual capacity is based on my delta T, my efficiency of my psychrometers, and the airflow that we measured. And then I also have either a number or a graph of my system efficiency as well.
Okay. So to recap, you don't need that much. You need two of the psychrometers, one in the return, one in the supply, and you need your actual CFM to plug into the app. And once you have that, it's going to spit out the actual BTU capacity performance of the machine, the actual, not the rated. Correct. That's very easy to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And once you have those numbers, that you don't even need to hook up probes or gauges to a system, because if your system is a 2-ton and you do this test that you just told us about, and it's spitting out that it's operating as a 2-ton, then why in the world would anybody go and stick gauges on a system at that point? It blows my mind that techs still do that. So in order to do that, the 2 psychrometers and the hot wire anemometer, what is the actual name of that hot wire anemometer?
Yeah, it's called the YJack Flow.
Okay, the YJack Flow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need that, and you need the 2 psychrometers. And what is their actual name?
They're called the YJack Dew.
Dew. Okay, so 2 of those. So you basically need 3 tools.
Yep.
And I mean, that could be your maintenance, right? Change the filter, coils dirty, stuff like that. But is the system operating as it should? These 3 tools will tell you that, and you could be on your merry way without hooking up gauges and probes and going through all that rigmarole that doesn't have to be done. There's still techs out there that will still argue that it needs to be done. Some techs tell me that it's company policy to gauge up to every single system. And I want to get a hold of their owner and grab them by the shoulders and just shake them and like, what is wrong with you guys? There's other ways to do this that's not so invasive to a system. So anyway, Eric, thank you very much for the time here. I like this last tip because it's a real world scenario. It can generate ethical sales rather than like creepy salesman type tactic stuff. That the customer, now you have real world data to show the customer, and this, here's why I'm recommending what I'm recommending. And if you don't do it, your system's going to run inefficiently and I'll be on my merry way. If you decide to do these repairs, that's causing your system to be degraded by a ton or a half ton or something like that, then I'm here and we can sell you or provide the solutions for that. So,
Yeah.
Any last words, Eric, before we head out?
I just wanted to show that we talked about the anemometer session a little bit quickly, but if you can just look at it real quick, I know it's hard, but you can put in the duct dimensions. So for rectangle or circular duct, so say I had 20-inch, this is in inches right now, but you can change it to metric, whatever. And then you can select where you're traversing the duct, and I can select this one, and then it'll tell you exactly how many points and where to measure it from. And then you click next, and then it will go through, and you have to, it says where you're measuring from, and you click through each one of those, and then you have the whole traverse, and it gives you the full CFM and can spit out.
Amazing. Yeah. Thanks for showing that. Yeah, the modernization of the trade has made things much easier. I remember when I first started, I had a two-way radio and a notepad and a pen, and it was go try to figure it out. And it was tough. It was really tough. And there's something to be said about trial by fire, or however you put it, getting thrown into the fire, because you come out of it knowing, but the process is agonizing. Where if we can make the process easier for people and cause less stress on people and utilize what's in front of us, the internet and all these apps that have so much valuable information we can use to show customers, I think it makes us better technicians in the end and better professionals, to be honest with you. So I appreciate the show and tell here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's more to come. Obviously, we continue to develop, and I'm excited about a lot of the products we're bringing to market here in the next year. So looking forward to more.
Thank you, Eric.